The FAA is being sued. That's right, they're being sued for remote ID. Now, what if I told you there's a really good chance that remote ID may not happen in the way that we think it might? So today I had the opportunity to meet with a gentleman named Tyler Brennan. We had an interview, and Tyler Brennan is the CEO of RaceDayQuads. You may have heard of RaceDayQuads if you are familiar with FPV at all. They are one of the leaders in the world when it comes to FPV components. So Tyler and his team and his legal team have filed suit with the FAA on March 12th of this year of 2021. And they have a good argument, you guys. They have a good chance. And they are, as far as we know, our only hope when it comes to remote ID. Now, there's a number of reasons that this lawsuit is happening. You know, privacy issues, some of the ways that the FAA went about it. They made some decisions without making them publicly. And you can't do that when you make decisions in that capacity. And so I think they have a pretty good case here. And so, you know, I'm really interested in this process. I'm going to keep following it, and I'm going to keep you guys updated on everything. So if you're not subscribed and you're interested in this at all, be sure to subscribe, because I'm going to keep in contact with Tyler, and I'm also going to present that information to you as much as I can, as often as I can. Now, down in the video description, I'm going to put links to everything that Tyler talks about in this interview, his website, everything on the RaceDayQuads website. There's so much valuable information on there, very detailed information about the process, about why they're doing this, and why they think they have a good case. So be sure to check out those links in the video description. Also, just in case you don't know what remote ID is or what it's about, I'll put some videos that I have made about it down in the video description. So when you're done watching this interview, be sure to check out the video description. There's all kinds of information there, and a lot of resources for you guys that want to learn more about remote ID and about this case against them. So I had a wonderful conversation with Tyler, but I used Zoom to record this. I couldn't get my Skype to work, and I used Zoom. And for some reason, like, Tyler's video looks great. I think he used his phone, and here I use my brand new Sony full frame camera, and my video quality is not that great. So I think I have to mess with the settings a little bit, so I apologize for that. It's not the best quality video, but the information is there, and hopefully you guys get something out of it. And if you do, click on that thumbs up button, and then also just subscribe so you don't miss out on future stuff about this topic. So without further ado, everyone, here is Tyler Brennan from RaceDayQuads. Tyler, how you doing? This is Tyler, everyone. Welcome. And we're going to talk about the FAA and some legal proceedings that are going to be happening or have already started. And so, yeah, how you doing? Tell me a little bit about yourself, Tyler.
Let's do it. Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I am the owner of RaceDayQuads, which is a first-person view e-commerce drone supplier. So if anyone's ever gotten into or shot for FPV drone parts before, there's a decent chance you've popped on our site before. And we're based out of Orlando, Florida. And we are probably, we're one of the top three largest FPV distributors in the world now. So we're founded in 2016. I'm the owner and have been since day one. So yeah, that's my background.
Cool. Yeah, I've actually ordered a few things from you for FPV. I still have yet to do it. I haven't tried it yet. I can't. For me, it's a time issue, but I know I definitely want to try it this summer, and I'm sure I'll be purchasing more stuff from your site. So
yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast. If you've never tried it before, it's a immersive experience that is truly I don't even really know how to describe it other than it's an adrenaline rush and very cool.
Yeah, I know people really get addicted once they get started. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, let's talk about why we're here today, Tyler. Why don't you give me a brief description of why you are taking some legal action against the FAA?
Yeah, absolutely. So on March 12th, 2021, RaceDayQuads officially filed notice in the U.S. District Court of Appeals, essentially asking that court to review the remote ID rule, which the FAA had an NPRM for early in 2020, and then finally made a rule here in 2021. That rule collected over 53,000 comments, and it certainly drew a lot of attention all across the drone industry because it had wide overarching impacts across anyone that flew anything remotely. So obviously that garnered a lot of attention from us and myself. And as FPV enthusiasts, we saw that it was going to be very, very difficult for us to continue with our hobby, namely due to the fact of how the drones are themselves, in that they're very light, 500 grams and below most of the time. So adding anything to them is a problem. They're all home built, so the whole manufacturer thing that was in the NPRM was a problem. FRIAs are normally AMA fields. We typically don't fly at AMA fields, so on and so forth, right? So because of this, there are a number of initiatives launched across the model aviation world, and one of them was the legal effort, which was mainly led by myself and my company.
Yeah.
So we spent the better part of 2020 reviewing that rule with a team of lawyers, 3 lawyers and a few pro bono guys in the industry helping out, all to essentially prepare a case against the remote ID rule.
So you got a pretty good legal force behind you. Sounds like you got a wide variety of people helping you out. And I think the biggest thing for this is all of us, when we read the final ruling, all of us were like, not surprised, but surprised at some of the things. And a lot of us are like, well, now what do? We give up, we throw away our drones, we sell our drones. And you're taking the opposite track, and the track that most people should be taking. And that's to do something about it, because we can still do something about it. I mean, even though it was a final ruling, it's really not final until it's in place. So I think a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on you right now, and I'm sure you're going to feel it as we go along this process here. But there's a lot of people depending on this. As I read through the forums, I'm just like, everyone's just saying, hey, we got some hope here, with RaceDayQuads and their legal team and their actions against the FAA. So I think it's pretty admirable of you to take this on, because it's, as we know, it's never pleasant to do any kind of things in the legal system, let alone sue the federal government, or branch of the federal government. So it's going to be very interesting for us to watch, and I'm really looking forward to see the outcome. Not even just the outcome, but also like the process and how it all works. And so I really want to see how that happens. So, what was your biggest issue? Like when you saw the final ruling, was there any surprises in there that like just kind of like, no way, or were you expecting everything that was in the final ruling?
Yeah, so it's worth noting that we are the only legal opposition to the remote ID rule.
Yeah, you're our only hope.
At least to our knowledge, unless there's someone that did it very privately, we are pretty much the only show in town, unfortunately. That said, that doesn't mean that there's nothing that anyone can do. If any of our things had a chance at making a difference, my opinion is that the legal route, unfortunately, was gonna be the one to go. As far as the final ruling, it obviously the NPRM was a lot worse than what came out in the final ruling. From our opinion, it wasn't very much a logical evolution, which it has to be in rulemaking, from how crazy the NPRM was to, hey, now you just got to broadcast, put a module on your drone and broadcast this information about you. And for the DJI users, most likely that'll be built in, and you really it really won't affect you, besides maybe a marginal increase in cost. Now, that isn't getting into all the privacy issues or anything like that.
Right.
But as far as like the actual going on and using it, so we spent a lot of time researching all the different ways this could go. I did think that they would pull back to some extent, mainly because we got inklings that the remote ID network and technology behind it simply is not ready yet. It's not a matter of, hey, they listened to us or they read all these reviews and considered how good they are, or consider the impact, so on and so forth. From what we know, it is more that all the infrastructure that will go into the remote ID network that is going to come eventually, and the FAA says so in their final rule many times, that it's not implemented yet.
Yeah, it says yet.
Right.
I don't know how many times, but yeah.
Right. Yeah,
And if
it's
you
a
read
bunch.
it carefully, it's a lot. So we expect it to be coming. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. And so, I want to say it was a huge surprise. But it was good that it wasn't the NPRM, in a lot of aspects, and it does kind of give us a little bit more time to just go on without having to deal with remote ID or the full remote ID network quite yet.
Right. Yeah. So what's your primary goal as we go through this process? As what's the end game? What's the end result that you want to see after this is all said and done?
So in 2016, when Congress mandated that the FAA had to come out with a rule or a way to integrate UAS into the national airspace, our interpretation is that this was mainly for commercial. This was for Amazon, UPS, so on and so forth. How are their drones across numerous industries going to fly beyond visual line of sight, independent of an operator, and really kind of revolutionize a lot of things in our daily life? And I think that drones do have that ability. That said, our understanding is that doesn't have to include the recreational and even many commercial operators. There is little to no benefit to little Timmy next door having to throw a module that broadcasts his information about him and his flight
Right.
into his air hogs while he goes and flies around his backyard with his dad. There is benefit to integrating an Amazon drone that's going to fly 20 miles to go deliver something.
Right.
So our goal is to create this this line where, okay, sweet, the people that are, or the operations that could potentially pose a risk to the airspace system that currently exists, will go under one set of rules, and the people that fly for fun, fly safely, fly below 400 feet, fly a craft below X pounds, not grams, pounds, would follow under another set of rules, which hopefully are very, very limited in scope. So that is our goal, is to really kind of create this line in the sand, and ensure that the hobbyists, the recreational guys, which is who I mainly represent, can go on continuing what they do every day without having to listen to the latest FAA rulemaking every 2 seconds as this technology continues to evolve over the next few decades.
Yeah, that's for sure. So now, as I watched a previous interview that you did, there's a little bit of discussion about the Fourth Amendment and the privacy issues when it comes to remote ID and the broadcasting the information to not only law enforcement and FAA officials, but also the general public. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good thing to allow, access of the information of not only the drone, but also the control station to law enforcement? Or, should it be allowed to be seen by anyone with a cell phone? Or, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think, this is going to hopefully change how they have that worded right now?
Yeah, totally. So, personally speaking, and not at all opinions of our legal team, is that I would see little issue if it was only law enforcement or only some kind of safety minded individual in an official capacity that could reference this information. What I don't want to happen is somebody to go to their local park, go fly their drone for fun, and then whoever look on their phone and say, I hate drones, I hate this guy, I'm going to go give him a talking to or her talking to,
Right.
and then that situation play out. That is our primary concern, which is a safety concern going forward. And I think it's pretty logical for us to say that, hey, there's really no benefit to making the people that are flying at parks or acting safely have to go and do this. In fact, it is a safety risk which the FAA hasn't considered well enough.
Not
So that's
not at all. They haven't considered it, and that's the
right.
biggest thing for me. And I think most people I just don't understand it. So yeah, I can't imagine the need for someone to know control station location. If we had to give and take, drone location maybe would be okay, but to know where I am and to be able to come and confront me. And there's some say that's going to happen so few times that it's not even an issue. And I wholeheartedly disagree, as like, it's going to be terrible. I think people are going to be harassed a lot, especially FPV. It already happens. It happens all the time. And it's only going to be worse. And, they say it's like a license plate for your drone. No, it's not. I can't look up someone's license plate and know who it is and know where they're driving and know where they're shopping and know where they live. I can't do that with a car. So it's nothing like a license plate for your drone. It's way, way more invasive than that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Our opinion is that it's a lot more like a GPS tracking device rather than a license plate, right? The license plate version of the drone is the number, your registration number that you're supposed to have on your drone. That's your license plate.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for me, that's the biggest thing that I hope to see come of this, is that needs to go away. Absolutely. And I think that my audience feels the exact same way. There's nobody in any of my comments, in any of my FAA videos that support. There's maybe a couple, a handful that support the final ruling. And so I know a lot of people that watch my channel, as well as some of the other drone channels, that are really, really in your corner and looking forward to seeing how this process rolls out. And speaking of that, if someone wants to help you through this process, we all know that legal proceedings can be, a little bit a lot of investment, both with time and money. And so what can people do if they want to support these efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first released news that we were going to go down this path of a legal effort, people really wanted to help out big time. So we created a GoFundMe. That GoFundMe, hopefully we can throw in the link there. But if you just search Save FPV or RDQ versus FAA court case or challenging remote ID, and then tag GoFundMe onto any of those things, it should be one of, if not the first one that pops up. We've been very lucky. We have currently, as of tonight, 980 donors so far, and just about $47,000 donated, and
Nice.
then a handful of manufacturers that have stepped in and donated as well. So, this is a big fight, and to fight it in the court that we're fighting in is very, very, very expensive. So, it's a fight that is going to happen. But every single donation that we receive, or comment, like, share, just notifying others about, hey, here's what's going on, and here's something that we can do to try and make a difference. It helps us. It helps us formulate a better legal argument and hire better people. And, the original game plan was we're going to have one, maybe two lawyers, and with the donations, now we have 3 lawyers working on this. So it's been a really cool thing for this to really kind of become a truly like community driven kind of like GitHub type open source legal effort, which is cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. And I think that's the benefit of, the drone community. That's the biggest reason that I've continued to, I started getting interested in drones 4.5 years ago. And then when I got into the YouTube aspect of it, I realized that people that are into the drone community it's really a community, like literally, like people just love everything about it. And whether you're FPV or your GPS or model aircraft or whatever, any kind of remote, RC cars and stuff like that, it's a huge group, and it's a very supportive group of each other. There's not so much bickering going on like there is in some of the other tech niches out there. But I think that, in the short amount of time that you've been doing this, that shows tremendous support for your cause. I think you understand that you do have a case. You have a very strong case. And I think for my aspect, the biggest goal of me is to get this information out there to as many people as possible. And the more information is out there, the more knowledge that people have that it's going on and why it's going on. And I would love to see you on every drone channel on YouTube, every Facebook page that has to do with drones, everything, all the information that we can get out. The more we can get out, the better, because I think people need to understand that this is a big deal and we need to win. I mean, this has to happen, because if you don't, our hobby is really going to go downhill. I mean, like bad. There's a lot of people that aren't going to drop out, and it's kind of sad for the industry and for the recreational community as well. So I really, really appreciate what you guys are doing. My hat's off to you. And I'll put links in the description for the GoFundMe, and then also to the RaceDayQuads website and all kinds of information. So check the video description, you guys. Tyler, tell me, is there anything else that you want to address? Want to tell the viewers?
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about what we're doing. For those that are interested in learning more and really getting into the nitty gritty here, we'll post it in the description, but we've posted a ton of information on the RaceDayQuads website. Everything that we're comfortable with releasing at this point before the legal arguments happen in court. We've released, there's a bunch of FOIA documents, which are Freedom of Information Act requests, which you can do to kind of see what's happening behind closed doors of federal agencies, which we've done. So there's a lot of stuff about the FAA, cohorts related to remote ID, who's actually working on remote ID, what other companies are involved, how are they meeting, all these things we've been able to figure out, and it's all available to you guys through our website. So I would encourage you guys to check that out. We will continue to update it with any available information.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking to you again, hopefully in a few months, just kind of update us all on the process and how things are going.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Tyler.